ye, Nama so shri ye, Nama o Dhamma shri so ha, O Namo manju shri ye, Nama so shri ye, Nama o Dhamma shri so ha, O Namo manju shri ye, Nama so shri ye, Nama o Dhamma shri so ha.
당아저 리나는 미치디데 쇼탄도 스치네로와 마진난 게 타드네 신제 탄지 다랑 그 첸데 마나히 거리 좀 샤다 이 마마제바 지자면 마셰바 탄지 뭐 제바니 더 진지지 만드는 대원대자 왕도 고로 지방 등엔 바히 용안에 대가 끼지자면데 진지지 만드나 대지 피순서보다 트나 쯤마로 트바 주치 트바 샤오 근데 샴바곤쇼스.
Please sit in 7 meditative posture of Virtuous. And then we think about this. All mothers, all sentient beings have been our mothers, and they had been our mothers for numberless times. Their kindness to us was exactly the same as the mothers of these lives. All kind mother sentient beings, though they want happiness and they do not want suffering, but not knowing the object of abandonment and adoptions properly, they only create the karma that bring forth the result of suffering. Therefore, in our mind, sincerely cultivate loving kindness, thinking, how nice if all sentient beings had happiness. May all sentient beings have happiness, and I will cause all kind mother sentient beings to have happiness.
어디지라 든지지 만드나 고선지 문디비 초 타다다 타나 쯤마루 자와 지지 자와 다기 샤오 대다시니 말라마나 신질라도소 데 닌제 공쇼스.
Next, we cultivate compassion towards all sentient beings, thinking, how nice if all sentient beings treat us were free of all adverse conditions. May all sentient beings treat us were free of all adverse conditions. I will cause all sentient beings treat us to be free of all adverse conditions. Lama, please bless me to be able to do so.
든지지 만드나 코아당에서 그 동아리 도인게다 술로 뽑은도스는 게 니랑라 포제 다디 네가스 양다바즈베 상지지 공부하는 게 니바메 더 니바를 쓸어 요스는 양다바즈베 상지라 예비 대승제 탕지 때도 상지지 공부하는 거지 쩌니저 토바샤오 냥비 창조지 세고쇼스.
Next, we cultivate bodhicitta, first asking oneself, who should take the responsibility to free all sentient beings from lower realms and from samsara? The answer is, I should take the responsibility to free all kind mother sentient beings from lower rebirth and from samsara. But I do not have the ability to do so. Who has the ability? Only those who have achieved the state of enlightenment have the ability to do so. Therefore, for the sake of all kind mother sentient beings, by all means, I want to become Buddha.
어디지라 동반지 되나 추상 당지 다다 통보다 랑이 지다 다리 간다야 마두비 더 랑이 지도 동안 인사 도스 추지 상당쇼스 동이라.
Next, we meditate on emptiness for a short while. That I is not intrinsically one with the aggregates, nor intrinsically different from the aggregates. Thus, I do not exist intrinsically.
대지라 군용지야들 해승제 탕지된다 상지 공부도 봐 대체도 더 장조랑지를 미치시는 냐리 측인도 지네 대승제를 펜바두기 냐비 딘디 군용시지는 상당셔스
Motivation. For the sake of all my kind mother sentient beings, I want to become Buddha. For this purpose, I'm going to receive teaching on Lamrim and practice accordingly in order to benefit sentient beings.
Oh yeah, thank you.
Ngubi topchiwara agishla tering.
Insari.
That's all.
That's on the theory. Maybe going to touch Dimashu history.
That's all. Yeah, today I'm going to talk starting from great strength by way of the thing.
Maybe going to touch you de la Kanda, Sinjila Jimba Tonga, Chiji Jimba Tonga. Takanda Sanji the Chibala to be Chiban Sanzi Jimba. Takanda Dikasangazo, maybe going to touch us the Jimba, Chiji Jimba, Menjibi Jimba, Sanzi Jimba, that deal a patient she won't. That is showing us that is Kanda, that Jimba is all about Kanda, Hajan Be Sanzi Jimbale, that Kanda Jimbanana Kanda Chida, Nonchi Sanzila Sabo Mambo, Jimba Tongalaya, Rangi Li Tonga, so Hajangi Tochiwarwa, Li Jimbataya, this a bed. Tochima, Tandanga Sujusona, Susu Be Charging Batayanda, Susugua, Yan Kemata, Chimbala, so Jimba Tayandua. That is so be a Jimba Top Chimbu Shure, Jana. That is the minute Tani Jazzy Chanjus in Baginyanirwa, Jazzy Chanjus in Binyana, Hajankale Horwa, or Dindi, Takanda, Sanzi Jimbala Sabatindi, Roa. Ambu teaching.
That's all. So in the case of giving gifts to sentient beings, giving the Dharma is supreme. So when we talk about giving, so giving, there are different types of giving. The first one is one of it is a giving of Dharma. Another one is a giving giving protections, and another one is giving of material. So giving material things to others. So among these giving materials to others, for example, giving one's body is supreme. So and then in our societies, then we do blood donations, yeah. So sometimes we also donate our kidneys to others, and some also donate their livers to others. So this is an example of bodhisattva practice. So to ordinary people, and this is very difficult to do so.
Sanzi Jimba Kanda Nyamtala Longjing Bola Sabarua. That's a lot of Kandina Petupe Jimba Tanda Peta Kanda P. Jimba Tonsagi, you the Kani show, you tell me the Nick Capilla Jimba to the Jimba Hajan Pio Chimboda, Nibachel Shawaz Roa, the Jimba Tosa, you the Kani. She began the Nick Kani the Seva, Kanitalian Tower Jimba Tantubaina, but that the Hajagi Shinda Manda Nibachimbo Pio Chimbuches.
Yeah, so giving material things to others, like for example, giving resources or like food, clothing to others, especially to those who are in great need of it, like for example, those poor ones or those who are, those wretched ones. So they do not have those requisites. And so while they are in such difficulty of lacking those resources, then you give those material things to them to solve their problems. Then the merits that you will accumulate will be extensive, and the benefits that you bring is great.
That is also Chuji Jimbasewa, that Chuji Jimbasewa Najinganzo, that be Kasi Lari Chimo, Ngolendora Mazo, Manzo Rua, Chi Nibits, the Shibits, Chiwidi, Manzo Chi Shibits, the Langazo, Zegi Londane, Chiji Nimuchi Mendoso and the Chigi, Chi share the Karina, Mo Manoda, Mo Mantuba, the Chi share the Chi the number Tabachi, Chi the number Tabaji Guru Hesi Gorua, Chi shared. Well, that the Nipet de Yalangazo Lando with Netia, Lando Guneti, Chu Namba Tabaji, the Shiba that the Pinch and Bushibres, Chu Namba Tabaji. Then also Chu Shibikala Chu Loba, Chiba that the Shiba in a dear Kanda Pin Pajo de Susan Yabatachim Sagrua, or the Chu Loba near the Mazoma with the Dilogi to Mambo Yori, Kanda Chu Loba Wankipe, Lang Embalatini, did the Uwerua. What that Dick Jidan Cage and Bushida Chavarnas, Chu Shinki Sewadi, Jidan Pe Jinzu so the Hamagobaina, Chu Shiagi Jinzu, Chachin to the Hamagobaina, that gave us a Nebasa Cherry, you are getting a liver.
And giving of Dharma. So at the beginning of Lamrim text, so then we talk about the way of listening to Dharma and way of explaining Dharma. And then in this, under this outline, then there is a quotation from Abhidhamma Kosha. So it says that when we explain Dharma to others, then the nature of the Dharma must be unmistaken and then must be of pure. So when we explain the points of the teachings about object of abandonment and adoptions to others, then if we're able to explain the teachings in this manner, the teachings is of pure and the nature is unmistaken, then the benefits that the teachers or the one who explain, then the benefits will be great. So if we were to explain the teachings, wrong teachings to others, then don't mention about accumulating merits. So one, instead of accumulating merits, one will accumulate negativities. So just like in the past, so there are those teachers who proclaim wrong teachings to others and then bring them to the to a wrong path or to a negative path. So don't mention about accumulating merits. So for such examples, so don't mention about accumulating merits. So one will accumulate great negativities and misdeeds.
Lando the Manua, Chu the Manua, here the Gachimbo reservation Batant. That ditch dark Tigelang as a Chijimba, Sanzijimba, that Menjibishimba Sicily were the Nangroa, once a Menjibishimba, Chidang as a Jimbala Tis Mandra Mambo, that ring as a Lanri Capsule, Sunza Lanri Nala Pechidang as a Jimba Teso Shiwere, Chijimba, the Menjibishimba, Sanzijimba, Tis so is on Lari Chimono, Takashiwer, that dear Anjua. That Menjibishimba, so Chidang Anzo Jimba Dere, that Rangi Kandijina Pe, that Chugin Jibale Joba. Juanshig, Lungin Jibale Joba, Main Jibale Joba, Roa. That can Sagin Jibale Joba, that's Sagin Jibale Joba. That's Sinchi, Data Singulas about the digging Jibale Joba. That is so Menjibi Shimba, Menjibi Shimba.
Yeah, so when we give Dharma teachings to others, then we must give a Dharma teachings that is unmistaken. And so in general, when we say giving to others, then there are many different types of giving. However, in Lamrim text, then 3 types of giving are mentioned. So it was as it is the 3 types of mentions that I mentioned just now: giving of Dharma, giving protection to others, and giving material things. So talking about giving protections. So like for example, you save others from a fear caused by earth, water, wind, or fire. So that is also an example of giving protections to others. Then you also can give protections to others to protect them from the animals, like for example, wild animals like cheetah or jaguar, for example. Then that is also an example.
Menjibi Jimba Cho, so the Tangaso Menjibi Jimba Cho that Joyat dire. Tanqua than a so good Dungalin Jipa Telejoyat. Tanqua than a so good Dungagin Jipa Telejoa in a Tab Menjibi Jimba Cho say that the Eshwichawa.
So regarding giving protections to others, the supreme one is saving others from sufferings, saving others from the sufferings of 3 lower realms and samsara.
Langi Bigona Jimba top chamber Sabachua. Dinda, Maso, some Bigona Toshivat.
Yeah, so there's about great strength by way of the thing. Next is great strength by way of the attitude.
sambi gune to chewa da ngazo samba shu cheju di thon te kanda top cheju ndo ro da samba to cheju sewa de ngazo china be changju wi sen da tomba ni ge ten da o de so nyane shu chenbo chenke de so la kanda da samba to chewu ro da rang jibu ge ten da le ben duba nyane chi ya ina da de so chen de jibu zang ge nyane che ba da so rang jibu ge che da dewa de ge nyane chenke de so samba ti to chung are ro 다 삼바도 주주스나 단다 rumbuchi 풍부 근도들의 성도와 다 담부되지라 들어와.
That's all. So great strength by way of the attitudes. So regarding the attitudes is depending on the intensity of the attitudes or how great the attitude is, then it also affects. It also affects the actions affects the actions as well. So it also makes the actions heavy or not. Like for example, if your attitude is infused with bodhicitta or or infused with the view of emptiness, then that attitude becomes powerful. And if one's attitude is targeted for one's own sake, is for one's own sake or targeted for these lives only, then that kind of attitude is of a small power, small strength.
다디치 ngazu de songuda rumbuchi gindole phumbu gindole ro rumbuchi phumbole 동수지 신지 탄지 수수지로 동신지 탄지 배 소소네 상지진 최근 리라 잘라베 딘디기 로 까바시와 망볼이야 딘다도 다 네고시발레 로 딘디 네고시발레 데 chanju simba be ro chansi ji be tanchi chimbe sinda manda ro da chanju simba re kanda ro chanju ji sinda manda yi chanju sin ji la dingi dindi ji ge medo ji za to wala da sena ma sung re se go ro sena ma da dini cheba shu ju cha da chanju simba de kanda medo ji pu wala be da da ge dong su ji sin je tanji be dindi sanji chue de la shema re be ha jan ja chen bu ge ji wu ro da dindi le be da chanju simba ke be medo ji pu wa de kanda top chia yin gore te samba to chi ju kan ro sa ro de samba to chi ju kan ro sa de phe ni ba chi re se di chi ro.
So then quotation from the Heap of Jewels Sutra says that if all the sentient beings of the billion universes, so in billion universes in other words is a 3004 world system, so out of aspiration for self-liberation were each to create a Buddha stupa as massive as Mount Meru, and if they and all those who are objects of respect were to pay respect to them for 10 million eons, this would not match the merit generated by a bodhisattva who never separated from the mind aspiring for omniscience offers a single flower. So this example shows that the attitude, in terms of attitude, the later one is greater than the previous ones because bodhisattvas, his attitudes is infused with bodhicitta.
Da dindi chi ro da nga zo samba to chi ju de chi da de na shi nga zo ne ba le chi ba ne chi le sa wa de nga zo to chi ju de ro da ne mu ba be ne chi be ha ja sin chi ji so je ba yin no be ne mu shu zha bo da ha ja be kung zhuo che wa dindi gi ton be sin chi so je ba da ya dindi ha ja ne mu shu chen bo me ba kung zhuo shu chen bo me ba dindi gu ne se ba ne dini wa ne ba che ju top che ju li gu re se ro 다 하자 주름보 배 컨트롤도 배 주름보다 배 상바 슈 잡고 주름보 던지기 배 제네 때 간다 신jel라 녀바지야다 소치 발라서 받던도 디소배 하자 또 치어를 해서 녀바 또 치어를 해서 다 던지 뭐 간다 상바 신지 센데 여바이나 배 던지 주름보 메바야 디치 퉁두 지나로 때 간다 신지 배 소치 바다 녀바 제버서야 디솔라 티니 디즈만 녀바 중그레 해서 로 디지 또 중하래 해서
Then, when it comes to faulty conduct and intense afflicted attitudes and long duration also have greater strength. Like for example, if we were to kill another sentient beings out of great anger or out of great afflictive attitudes, then that makes the actions of killing becomes powerful. So on the contrary, if we kill a sentient being, if we were to kill another sentient beings out of small afflictions, then the actions of killing also is of small strength. And if we kill another sentient, or if we harm another sentient beings out of, if we harbor the intentions to kill or harm another sentient beings, or out of anger, then we harbor this anger thought for a long time, and then if we were to kill or harm another sentient beings, this also makes the actions of killing or harming another sentient beings become powerful. And if we have another case is if we have the intention to kill another sentient beings, but this thought of killing only lasts for a short while, then comparatively, then the actions of these actions is of small strength.
Kaba tong ki sabi gecha den jong lo re se jin de gecha jong sa ge yudir shi gor manzo chanju simba mai ba ge chanju simba lan thwa ina se gor ro chanju simba mai ba ge chanju simba lan thwa ina de kaba tong da sabi gecha den jong lo re se go dil gor ro da kaba ja sabi gecha jong se wa de woman ji bole nga pa de da ta go woman ji bole sun jare ro de ja sun sun de kaba jal gecha jong se wa de chanju simba ge ro chanju simba la trip wanda tane kaba ja sabe ge san jong re se pa de dawa ta ge kaba ja sabe ge san jong sa te jong sa ge yode chanju simba shi wa kunro sang ge da chanju simba ji ro wa de ge kaba ja sabe ge san jong re se de da zo ge den da wa shi ba re da ko ya da ta nga zo ma da chanju simba yi mai mang bo lo ko chu den da ko lo ro wa da ngi den da bo zo da wa dil ge shi ko da 진주 그가 동도 사베게 자서 진짜 되게 레지가 군도 찍인 좀 봐시 세와데 당한서 소소 마지바이나 미 컨디킬라 군도 롬바이나 다 chanju 심반다 보지라 군도 롱쇼바이나 이 소소 에게자 그가 동 사베게 자 용으로 군도 찍인 좀 세워다
And then Lama Tsongkhapa quotes Shantideva entering the Bodhisattva way, says, whatever good conduct has been amassed over 1,000 eons by giving and worshipping those gone to bliss, and so on, is all destroyed by one anger. So in this case, I'll say that the roots of virtue accumulated over 1,000 eons is destroyed by one anger. So that refers to a non-bodhisattva get angry, have this anger thought towards a bodhisattva. So a non-bodhisattva have an anger thought or getting angry at a bodhisattva, then the roots of virtue accumulated over 1,000 eons will be destroyed. So, and in Chandrakiti, entering the middle way, then it says that if a bodhisattva getting angry at another bodhisattvas, then the roots of virtue accumulated over 100 eons will be destroyed. So this is different. Yeah, non-bodhisattvas to a bodhisattvas, roots of virtue accumulated over 1,000 eons will be destroyed. And if a bodhisattva getting angry at another bodhisattvas, roots of virtue accumulated over 100 eons will be destroyed. So here it's talking about one anger. So one anger itself can destroy the roots of virtue accumulated over such eons.
다 제시셔 다 참바 지바 간다 만서 인데비 녀무 반창게 칸코마 상대의 수미를 하도서 지소라 샤초고레 로와
칸코마기 하된죠
칸코마게 하도서 샤초고레 로와 다 지당 간선 참바 샤당의 디스만라 망보여로와 다 간다 상지를 하 지당 간서 베 디소베 인데비 녀무의 다 창게지 인데비 녀무 반창게로와 반창게지 딘디 칸코미 수하들 하다 딘디 하도서야 간다 so be kundu jebale da jasi chanju simbala pe kundu jebaina da haja tele neba chimbo jina chanji ilarsula pe kundu jebaina neba chimbo wa neba chimbo sawo de ina tele jasi chanju simbala chona ina haja pe neba chigre ese gore.
Then he continued to say, here, anger towards those who perfectly observe their celibacy is very heavy. So in other words, is those who practice pure conduct, like for example, those who have abandoned the afflictions of desirium. Those who have abandoned the afflictions of desirium are those who those who are of pure conduct. So if we were to, like for example, the gods in higher realms or in above 2 higher realms, then if one were to get angry towards those, those who have pure conduct, then the negativities or that the negativities is heavy. And if we were to get angry at bodhisattvas, then the negativities is heavier still.
다 핀지 찔러 찌기 내세 제바이나 세들로로와 다 핀지 찌기 찔러 든디기 내세 에 두제 제바이나 다 간다데 딜라페 수진다 티비 쭈니고 말 수진다 뎀비로와 수진다 뎀비에 간다 수진다 뎀바다 퇴바 몽하세고 다 수진다 뎀바다 취지 퇴바 몽 간디 퇴서 간디지나 티쭈 말레스 쭈니고 말레스로와 다 간다 썸데다 뎀바딜로로 standing business ta kanda nyali chege nga so tingin jila nyamba shane ke ro tingin jige ko nyali ya ko yang ke tindi ji ya jogu maris ta gene ji kanda ni mi pe shada ba ta shada na shi pe tindi shu ne ke pen chamba da bo pe nyali chembo shu ne tindi ji ya jogu jo ni mari de so jo ni maris ta jimbi tongpe chembo jimbi ke tongpe chembo tindi yo jogu maris wa tindi yo jogu maris this sanjilan cheba shingege jogu maris jogu mari tendi pinji chila chigi nese cheba de nese sa nga so linga be linga megi chuna la nga so chama rimba gi de ma chiwa shi de ichi leso de chihi chago ro ichi leso bo nase lo ta de so de pe jigo chahi neba chihi zu ro o de chahi chai neba chiwa sung go ganda
kaza migi ju inane migi ju inane 이게 내 대에 대 차치쇼
o chachi yu zu go ro kazi shi sa ro da neba chiwa zu go ro 디치로와 다데 마징 안소 링아그 레트 소드로와 링아그 메기 와드 소드 안소 장주 심바게 옌데 두발라 파지 드니 나와 카실라 나와 요레스고 장주 심바게 신데 신기 된다 두발라 드니 나와 파지 요레스고 로와 나와 요레스 다
이지 나와 요레 계실라
장주 심바게 신데 두야라 신기 된 신지기 신데 두야라 장주 심바든지 앞에 신데 니바 두침바 또 침보고 전주 심바 틀라파 다 링아고 저 pe nawa tindi yugure hese go ro
미기와 나와
o magiwa nawa tindi shawa dubatso so shinde duya che sigo da shanju simba da yiji le nasi nese to so shinde duya la chune ro marisko so la nawa se zawa ni ne yo marisko shanju simba suina ro nasi wong ge chende nese wong ge chende duwa se da so zawa ni ne yo marisko.
And the King of Concentration Sutra says, if someone harbors harmful intent for another, ethical conduct or studying cannot protect him, nor can meditative concentration or solitude, nor generosity or worshipping the Buddha. So if one were to harbor harmful intentions for another, then even though one may have a good ethical conduct, then it cannot protect the person. And if the one is good in study, listen to teachings extensively, so that studying also cannot protect the person, nor can meditative concentration, even though if the person he is good in meditations, then a meditator, for example, so that also cannot protect the person. And if the person even living in a solitude, like for example, a retreater, so that also cannot protect the person, nor practice a great generosity or worshipping the Buddha. So if one were to harbor harmful intention for another, then all these cannot protect the person. So among the 10 non-virtues, compared to among the 10 non-virtues, the 3 mental actions are heavy. among the three non-virtues, the three mental actions are heavy. So, for example, bodhisattvas, when they, for the sake of accomplishing the welfare of others, then they might appear to engage in the non-virtues of body and speech. They might appear in engaging in the non-virtues of body and speech, but for the sake of others. So bodhisattvas do not, I'll say, for the sake of accomplishing the welfare of others, engage in the three mental actions in the 10 non-virtues. Like, for example, bodhisattvas do not, I'll say, for the sake of accomplishing the welfare of others, then generate the harmful intentions, generate wrong views, and etc. So next is presentations of their effects. So this has 3 points: the fully ripened effect, the effect concordant with the cause. So in other words, is causally concordant result. So effect concordant with the cause. In other words, is causally concordant result, and dominant or environmental effect. So the first point, the fully ripened effect. Yes, since each of the 10 paths of actions depends on whether the basis, the 3 poisons, is more intermediate or great, the fully ripened effect is also threefold. Level of yogic practice says that through each of 10 great ones, so 10 great ones refers to 10 paths of actions, yeah. So through each of the 10 great ones, a great act of killing and so on, then you are reborn as a hell being. Through each of the 10 intermediate ones, you are reborn as a hungry ghost. And through each of the 10 small ones, you are reborn as an animal. So now it talks about the fully ripened result, or the ripened result of those 10 paths of actions. Yeah, so now it talks about if the 10 paths of actions is, as it depends on the basis, the 3 poisons. If it is great one, then one will be born in hell realms. And if one accumulate the paths of actions, those negative paths of actions, then out of the intermediate afflictions or poisons, then one will be born as a hungry ghost. And the small one, then one will be born as an animal.
Tape control trapo ngane control wange da sinchi de so cheba ina da nyawala chegre eswa ro control chu tabo de wange sinchi de so cheba ina da namjin de de nyawala chegre es ro o da de tumu de ndecha wange sinchi de so cheba ina da ndecha wange sinchi de shala mi bada baba la so ba dindila chani ro dindigi sinchi de so cheba ina 다 이달라 지그레스 니반진티로와 다 뚜무왕게 승제데 다 승제세 바이는 님이 하모건게 로와 다 마신게 덴리기페 간다 승제데 소제바이나 다 충무들로라 지는 그래세 당가서 다 신다 간가라 자당 도스 지바 지장을 좋아 당가서 소지 지보를 더 배신 도스 뭐 지셔 좋아
Yeah, so for example, the actions of killing, then there are three folds. The actions of killing can be of threefold: the great negativities, or the intermediate negativities, and the small negativities. So the great negativities will bring one will be born in hell. Then the intermediate one will be born as a hungry ghost. The small one will be born as an animal. So whether the negativity is great or not, then it is in relation to the basis, which is the three reasons. Like for example, if one were to kill out of anger, out of great anger, then one will be born in hell. So so if one were to kill out of attachment, like for example, clinging to the meat or clinging to its furs, and if one were to kill another sentient beings, then one will be born as a hungry ghost. And if one were to kill out of ignorance, like for example, not knowing killing is a negativities, then and kill another sentient beings, then that actions will cause the person to born as an animal. So this is applied to the rest of the actions as well.
당가서 먹기 지고 신다 간가 도스 자당 지바 지장을 와 다 지바 지장을 다 신다 로마 거 지로
Yeah, so this applies to the rest of the actions. Then I will not explain it in detail.
다 사지빈도를 충분히 진제부 도데 송세 진도와 사지비다 데 파지 딩지 친구도 이나가 배차 신다는 이게 세보게 토마스 다다이 충무되게 배 시우디 배 메게 든돌라지야다 린디게 이다라 제르고 디송요로와 다 데파 도니 충무데 배 간다 이다라 치지야다 린데 든돌라지야시 파 도야데 딩사를 친구들와
Yeah, so in the 10 Grounds Sutra, the effects of small and intermediate ones are said to be the other way around. So this one I do not see the much explanations about this. So my understanding of this sentence is in the 10 Grounds of Sutra, the effects of small negativities, then one will be born in one will be born in the hungry ghost, and the medium one, then one will be born in the animal. So this is my understanding of this sentence.
다 남이 진제베스나 다 간다 남이 진제베스나 다 대가르다 다 메기로와 에 냐와라 마치운데 냐이 리툰도데 냐이 리툰도데 다 남이 진제베스 페이지 레티기 파니 남이 냐이 리툰도데 다 남이 진제베다 냐와라 쳔도와 남이 냐와라 남이 진제베데 냐이 리데 툰도와 냐와가 리데 다 간다 덴디 예다게 리드 툰도데 간다 남이 데베데 이다라 진도로와 이다라 지에서 다 이다가 리드 툰도데 이다라 지에서 남이 데베데 이다가 리드로와 다 튼도 리드 다 지바 지장로와
Yeah. So when one obtain the body, when one obtain a hell body or obtain a body in hell, then then one experienced the result of the ripened result of being born in hell. So when one obtain a body in hell, then that is when one experienced the ripened result of being born in hell. So similar to when one obtain a body as a hungry ghost, then there is one experience the ripened result of being born in a hungry ghost realm. Then similar to the animal beings.
다 니바디나 가서 준딩진데부터 시고도와 다 니바데고 년도네 메제자 다 림바다 세통하다 롱지진 폼바다 주마마 숨반지와다 꼬아마와 던자오 인제와 이도모이 다테바 다 신지 칠람녀바 그 차다모스 휴치보 딘디 용고레에서 다데 나서 데 준딩진데부나 뇽아진디진데부터 셰바진디진데부터 니레고로와 다데 뇽아진디진데부터 렌도와 뇽아진디진데부터와
So the effect concordant with the cause. So as I mentioned just now, in other words, is causally concordant result. So causally concordant result is of two types. Then one is causally concordant behavioral result, behavioral result, and the second one is causally concordant experiential result. So the explanations here refers to the second, causally concordant experiential result. So each of the 10 non-virtuous paths of actions also gives rise to an effect concordant with the cause, so that even when you have left the lower rebirths and taken rebirth as a human being, your life will be short. So respectively, your life will be short, you will lack wealth, your partner will leave you, you will be slandered, you will be separated from loved ones, you will hear unpleasant speech, others will not listen to you, and each of the three, attachment, anger, and confusion, will become very powerful.
다 sheba jindu jindebesina di kanda di legor ta kanda jindu jindebedla nyuwa jindebe sheba jindebe ta tanda de nyuwa jindu jindebe zo sheba chi ta sheba jindu de tanda shula legore sheba jindu jindebe sewa de ta pe sinchi soche bala gawa ta hena neba che wala gawa pe henda pe nyanggi chumba ina gawa hena mundeba chumba ina gawa wada tindi sheba jindu jindebe dushi chagore sheba jindu jindebe de yanja pe lecha chumba sheba salu rese go.
So causally concordant behavioral result is you delight in killing sentient beings, like for example. So you like to kill sentient beings. So when you see others, how say not fortunate or unlucky, then you're also very happy. When you see others, how say some bad things happen to others, then you're also very happy. So this is causally concordant behavioral result, and this is a very bad types of result to experience, because while you're experiencing the result, you also create the cause to experience the result and experience the result again.
다 숨바 다빈 집들인도 와르와 다 다빈 집들이 저와 다 다빈 집다 나지야데 기킬로마치 시우도와 다 드소데 디스탑데 보리제 다 소치베 다빈 집에 소치베 다빈 집에 시인지 띵지 다 자둔다 미 데베선 투충와세 디시우다 담보 소치나 되게 다빈 집에 간디 우르스나 다 소소 제사들와 다 자둔다 미라서 받던 되게 님바 메죠 보다 드리차노도와 담보디.
Next result is the dominant or environmental effect. The dominant or environmental effect of killing is that in the surrounding environment, food, drink, medicine, harvest, and the like will have little potency. So it refers to your birthplace, for example, where you're born or where you live. Then the food and drink or and medicines are of a little potential.
다 템바다 차체바다 인제분용아 당아서 저한테 제살 장자되잖아 맞은데 신가라 기제신에 시월로와 신가 로토도잖아 다 로토도서 간서데 소소 마지빌리빈 데비디 딜레그레 로토츠 야본주 야보 차네 다 니이나 조이나 간다로와 인제이나 인제브센스 레도치디 야보 차오디 야 차바 슈첨보 땅에 배 카르보 세라 요라 세라 카운터보 차바베 뭐야 휴청버지네야 초라다야다 야 나시 담모 하장지네 사마로야 주막한다들이 차요래 로와 네버 사도지리야 근데 베 나시 담모 휴청버지네 야 근데 네버 저고도지리 야 베지야 보면 이제 주막한다 야 보면 이제 든디 이거 어다도 저는 가서 리든디 망보 이거 다도 마지 밀레진 데브레스고로.
So those food and drink medicines, they become impotent. So the environmental effect of stealing is that there will be great droughts, torrential rains, rainstorms, and poor harvests, and so forth. So I say most of us we live in a capital city, so most really then we don't understand this quite well. So these refer specifically to those field works. So if you plant crops and etc., then this one is then becomes a very relevant. So when we plant crops, like for example, barley, for example, wheat, rice, and etc. So when it's about time to harvest it, then suddenly, like rainstorms, then how say, or especially those how say the hail healing, then like fruits and etc. Then how say it destroy your harvest. Like when it's about time to harvest already, then suddenly because of these weird weathers or the sudden change of weathers, then it destroy the harvest. Then those fruits or those crops, for example, then they become smelly. So it become it have a weird smell of it. Weird smell in it, or it becomes not useful as it's supposed to be.
다 줄랑케 되나 소소응마 민응마티나 베 민도네 라차 망보 야보 시보 용고요 라바이나 야 미제모제네 주대가로 임바지라 미제모제네 야 미제모지자디 소소기 드베와 차민 드베와게 드니 민도네 마라와 용고 메바 로아 베샤 용아라와 어디 든디 용고로와 어디서도 차미기 난 드베레 세워로와 지도 많이 데베세워 차미세.
Yeah, so the environmental effect of sexual misconduct is there will be foul swarms, excessive feel, unpleasant odors, and so forth. The environmental effect of lying is that any work, whether in fields or boats and so on, will not succeed. So also these also mainly refer to those who do field works and etc. Then if due to the environmental result of lying is, so like for example, the one owner of a piece of land, so it grows good crops, have a good harvest. So and you see, then you buy the land from the person, then you also want to plant the crops yourself, then hoping for the good harvest as well, just like the previous owner. But after you buy the lands and you plant the crops, you also do the same thing. But because of the environmental effect, because of experiencing the environmental effects of lying, then the field you do not harvest as much as the previous owner. Then even if you sell it, then you do not sell a good money.
다 디지라 참아데 로와 다 참인 데베데 사쇼 밤부다 토메다 드가와서 오 든딜레 지야다 다 디냐도 나츠보 그로와 다 나츠보 지주기 간다 사쇼 동도다 체마 마마다 도다 다 도루다 든디 세마다 조모 사츠보로고로와 뭐다 든디기페 나기자 든디여서 세자다 주보 든다네 다 진로와 질로고로와.
The environmental effect of divisive speech is that the area will be bumpy and uneven, making it difficult to travel and so on. The environmental effect of harsh speech is that the area will be full of logs, brambles, rocks, pebbles, potsherds, and so forth. So the area, I say that the land is very, is of a poor quality.
다 신차들인도와 단 레브 진실라 간단 레브 마차바다 디마이반 레브 차바다 디마이빈 레브 차오든 레브 살론제 요 말다 정한세 디 바지 신제 요사 메디 하고가 말와 ngaso 레브 진실라 소소기다 kushi apple nda bochi sosola pe linka ya bochi yobaina sosoga naji choachido ro ya bochi yobaina da ndebo mambo mataba tabari je tawuyona 다 소소 미신다 신금마 되게 줄라 따바 따고나 소소 깔아 마다야 다 뒤만이 봤다 와서야 돼 뒤편 도보지요 말에 만수 인제부터 지갈을 매도자네 땡가라 인제부터 야부 차고로 와 땡가라 인제부터 야부 차고리 꾸신다고 이나 가리나 대가로 와 대차오디 찬차라 땡가라야 매도 짓자니 지요래 땡가라 매도 야 짓자니 땡가라 매도자니 인제부터 따오디 인제부터 충주 뒤지 찬 뜻살 사는 거라면 곧 되고 말해 인제부터 충주 뒤지다 곧 뒤만 이번 인제부터 따디 살론저 되고 말해 야 전부 차요 말해 땡가라 가시라 신도든지 열에 인제부터 야 뒤지 뒤만 이번 매도 샤고라고 땡가라 야 매도 현다스는 야 지가라 매도샤 샤네 땡가라 인제부터 거야 야부 차고래 아 신도 가시라 인제부터 뒤만 이번 미세와데 땡가라 야 매도 지자 야 디지젤은 레브 가요 충주진 레브 충주자 애플인다고 있는 충주 차네 데고 사는 거래 네그 말에 살론저 되고요 막고 뒤만이 봐 The Nashi Town Rugerwa.
Yeah, so the environmental effect of idle talk is that fruit trees will not bear fruit or will bear fruit out of season and so forth. So, for example, the apple. So, if fruit trees do not bear fruit, then you have no fruit to enjoy, right? No fruit to eat. Like for example, no apple to eat. So, or will bear fruit out of season. So at the wrong time. So those who have apple garden, for example. If you have apple, if you have a lot of apple trees, then usually it grows good apples. So in the hands of the previous owner, then you can see a good harvest of apple. Then you buy the apple land, buy the apple garden, and then you want to enjoy as much as the previous one. You're hoping to enjoy as much like the previous owner, but then it start it do not bear fruit or bear fruit at the wrong time. So for example, apple. So usually you plant crops, then you plant at plant in the spring. Kasa ni chiga la me do sha ro ai la. Katu di ta re la. Sabin de.
Drebu the Tankala, Mura Tankala.
Oh, katu the tabia re la. Sabin de.
Tabi Dumbo Tata Sarwa,
Oh,
Tatandu.
yeah. So those trees that you have planted, usually in spring, then it will the flowers will blossom, and then you will then you can harvest the fruit in the summer autumn. Yeah, then you will you will harvest the fruit in autumn. So if the fruits bear at the right time, then this will be the time frame. But some fruit trees, for example, then the flower blossoms at the wrong time. So they blossom in autumn, and then the fruits then will become very small. Even though you bear fruits, then it will become very small, and then it will fall to the ground. So then you do not enjoy as much.
Angry Tishi as a Kisha Saja Kisha Shiver, the Malashina, Yaka Tanka Simer Tapar in Reptan, which
Yeah, so now it's in the context. The example that I've just given is in the context of the countries with 4 seasons. Yeah, but in Malaysia, is every day also so hot. So I think it bear fruits every day.
That Nasi Drua, that Nasi Pinso Tangelo, that Dawa Shari, Manyamba Drua, that Nasi to go Migi Jala, Migi Julon Chila Petanga, Susula Chunasa, that digging jeopardy. This also like Yobakanga the Pe, that Kanda Nazu Dire, Peshabaina. Rikan Dachi Deguena, Rikalia Dachi Deguena, Nazupe Chibuna Tondoina, that Dachila Sayanda, that Naso Kala Sayanda did Sukubaina, that pe Dawachila Manto Nimachu Changanope Zonra, when Nima really Chusiri Pelamsana Zona Nuba, Junda which in Menjotini. Gachi Sana Nanji Poba Conge, Togo Jaguana, the Leonard Poba Sonsana Togo Majange. What that condition when Joboma, Pisus about some man young dedication she would roa, or the navigation deputy.
The environmental effect of covetousness is that everything excellent will deteriorate year by year, month by month, and day by day, and so forth. So, for example, if we just want to enjoy, spend our holidays on top of mountain, then for a month, for example, then we bring the food, rice, for example, that could last for a month. So, according to our usual the amount that we eat, then we bring sufficient rice for a month. Then when we reach there, then when we reach there, then we start to use it, etc. But it exhausts very fast because as if there is no. As if it's not as nutritious as it's supposed to be. For example, usually you eat 1 bowl of rice and you're full already, but when you go there, then you eat 3 bowls of rice, then only you will feel full. Then your rice cannot last for a month, right? So this is also an example of your excellent, your good things or whatever that is excellent, then it deteriorate year by year, month by month, and day by day.
That nation Japan and Debudeta, Niantam, Niangoa and Trubada, Roa, Paroji Mazolas and Truno Mawa. That nursing Derwa, 다 소소 간다 마치바다 소소라 내용하다 그 소소 미신다가 소소라 마치바 소야다 그러와 주바 튀야다 다 좀만 요구로 안 되부티 와 보다 되는 생긴데부티
So the environmental effect of harmful intent is a multitude of epidemics, injuries or disasters, infections, disputes, wars with enemy troops and so forth that cause oneself and others unhappiness.
다 로다 세와의 니기는 중국 초뉴바 나스로와 다 로다 세와의 간수지 여바질라 콤메바 로다 단기 지레들어고 그러와 이원키질 여 말에 신다 군주스 여바이네 여 말스 렌디 여바네 여 말에세 데 로바타와지 순자 다 소소라 페네로와 나라페 롱지 피스 소바야 부시비지 베 주자 첨부 시비잖아 데야 메바 찬도야다 그러와 야 고마쇼노와다 데 간다 베지 메바 찬도야 베지미 바차 찬도와 답에 로타발 pen lumba khachela pe thenghu yaji ya bollegona ya be soso lota wang tindi pe soso pe kandaji kanda tsongkhare sakhare kandina pe ya pe pisu ba chanso ma pe yunggo kanga ma nyangdo ya bo maywa de de solo gore ko kanda soso ma nyangdo ya de soso ge yobal mebata de torwa kunjo ta lota se lota ni shide kunjo so pe mebata wa kunjo so mebata lendi la so mebata wa dirwa.
And the environmental effects of wrong views. So as mentioned previously, wrong views here refers to seeing existent as non-existent. So perceiving the existent as a non-existent, right? For example, three jewels exist, but you perceive it as non-existence, and the cause of can be cause and effect. Then it exists, but you perceive it as non-existence. So such wrong view, the environmental effect is an environment where the best sources of provisions will be exhausted and so forth. Like for example, you have those great resources at home, but those great resources they reduce greatly, and or how say you have something valuable, then you lose it, you lost it because of thieves and etc. Then even though you have something very valuable and useful, but then it becomes not useful and it cannot functions anymore, for example. So it loses the functions. And even those who do business or who runs a restaurant, for example, then the business is not good. Then that is also the example of environmental effect of wrong views.
다 까빌레데 마슈에 까빌레데라 다 간다 까빌레데 보세 다 단다 간소 먹이 찌고 되기 도쇼 되기 님보로라 다 간다 되기 님보라고 차고르와 근데 먹이 찌고 되레 도바 좋아.
So the virtuous actions and their effects, or right actions and their effects. So this is the opposite of what we have been talking about. So this has 2 points, the virtuous actions and their effects.
다 단다데 간서 다징고마데 다 소체바니 마중데 데 간다 나시니스 로다바데 치고로와 로다바드로와 다 단다데 소체바니 다 로다지바데 니 소체 디나야 마자 자 소소게 소체 빵바 마진발렘바 다 로연라서바 리지송 다 나그 진 참마 치주 자원니 진모마서바 데 포야게 레사바로와 데 포한 데 간다 다 이지고르 나시니스 로다 데서로와 다 든디 네바 메치상사 로다 자와니 메치상 다 든디게 수수르페 이지고네 간다 당자샤네 이 든디 지금 미사 든디 뻥와들라 다 가빌레 세고레 수수기 지금 미세 든디 뻥야들라 다 가빌레스 레우르스로와.
So the virtuous actions is the opposite of what we have talking about, the 10 non-virtuous actions. So from killing then up to wrong views. So killing, stealing, sexual misconduct, lying, divisive speech, idle talk, then what else? Then harmful intent, covetousness, wrong views, etc. So basically, it's from the 10 non-virtues that we have talked about. So not doing the 10 non-virtuous actions, or abandon the 10 non-virtuous actions, then we accumulate such karma of abandoning 10 non-virtuous actions or not engaging in the 10 non-virtuous actions. So for the actions of mind, so basically is mentally, then you promise not to do it. So you promise not to do it or refrain from it or avoid doing so, then that is the virtuous actions.
Dindi yore san de dindi samba de chin ro so mo jibi samba ro dindi poya so che poya ngi de ba de ro samba de da juan da so che ba de yang da ba dong ba she ba so che ba ro juan ko da steg mi sa yang da ba dong ba she ba de ro da ta tu yang da ma do bi zo bi li ji le da ta tu de pe tang za wani ne mo ji sa ta pe so so ba ju ba ta chin ro 다 타치는 어떤이 생긴다고 지나 버준다고 어떤 등이 미세바 다 타치는 거 장마 쳐야 돼. 다 간다 타도 줘야 되는 왔다. 든지 좀 봐이나. 다 간다. 다 소주 본비 게 소주 본비 게레스다. 게레 사와레스 딜로거 와. 뭐 소모 집어다지 소주 본비레 소주 본비 게레 차고요 말해. 소모 집어다지. 이 소지기 미사 지지 수수고 뽕아. 근데 삼바 조와 타도 든지기 빼 당자 지내 때 소속에 당자 일래 봐이나. 다 소치판비 게레 차고르면 마스 소 마치 바타지 소치판비 레란 로요 말해.
So this should be applied to the basis, attitude, performance, and completions as appropriate. When applied to the paths of actions of avoiding killing, so taking avoid paths of actions of refraining from killing, for example, then the basis is another sentient being. And the attitude is the wish to avoid it, having seen its faults. So you see the faults of killing, then you wish to abandon it. And the performance is to put effort into completely abstaining from killing, that I'm not going to do it. And the completion is the physical act of having successfully refrained from it. So it's the determination of, is that you decided not to do it. So you, for example, killing a cow. So you decided not to kill the cow. Then that is a completion. Then so there is the path of actions of avoiding killing. So merely not killing is not necessarily, merely not killing is, it doesn't become an actions of abandoning a killing. So by together with the promise, together with the commitment that I'm not going to do it, then it will become actions of abandoning killing.
that Canada could dissimulate Chisa. Mida, Deakanda, Kankomagala. That there, Gile, Roa, Nami, the Gile, Chumuchi, that Mila Chevares, or Ndintigi, that on that Kankomigala, Sukana Chevares, Roa, Sukana Chevares, or that Chimbutigi, the Kumandila Chevaris,
Sume Kamro.
Sume Catalimare.
To make a model.
Gaily Chumudi got Mila Chevaris, Roa. Indeed,
Ali, do come
on their Kana Chevaris, indeed, their Debilhala, Roa, Debilhala Chevaris. The Chimbutigi, the Concomanica Chevaris, Roa. That's Digi Mare, Matachina, Milipe, and Debilha Digi Mamoshuroa, the Digi Lok Kaba Mobile Digi Shuere, that Teleconcomala Tele Digi Mayo, Dichima you would. In an answer, Sanji Compatola, that Dakanda, dear Roa, Dindi Compatola, also Dubanyane Chisagi, so dear, also Devi Minash in your Marisivora, Devi Minash in your mom. Then the Jedam cherishing another Dichimonity, and then Debbie Shiv to the Katun as a Dichimaya, Dikajasiva, Militida, and they had Dichimaya, and they had been Sukanda Sumekan to Digi Mayroco. Rwa, Diji Mayari. Yena Naso, Sanji Compa Toyala, Druba Nyale Chewala, Tabi Tenji Suso Chewa Sogan Debi Mala, Tawajin Jopa is the leading Machero Chis and Malam Jewel, Rwa, Tabi Hinji, Suso Chewa Suina, the Chero Chis and Malam Jewel, Young Azon Debi Mide, Chidana, Sanji Compa Duela, Tawajin Jopa is a just leading the pay, Choda Jopa.
So the effects of virtuous actions. From among the three effects of the virtuous paths of actions, the fully ripened effect is to be born as a human being, a desire realm god, or a god of the two upper realms through the force of small, intermediate, or great virtuous action. So in the case of the effect, concordant with the cause and the dominant or environmental effect, then they are the opposite. So the effect also of three types: the ripened effects, the causally concordant effect, and the environmental effect. So this one is about the ripened effects of virtuous actions. So the small virtuous actions, then one will be born as a human being, and through intermediate virtuous actions, and one will be born as a god in the desire realm, and through the great virtuous actions, then one will be born as a god in the form realm. So this is explained in terms of the happiness, in terms of how great in terms of the happiness one will experience. So born in higher realm, then one will experience a greater happiness, and born in the lower realms, comparatively, then one will experience a lesser happiness. Like for example, those god in the the god in the form realms, then they experience a greater happiness than the god in desire realms, and those god in desire realms, they experience greater happiness than human beings. So that is from that perspective, then these explanations is stated. But if one were to if one want to achieve the state of enlightenment, so for the sake of achieving the state of enlightenment, then there is no better or superior basis than human beings, a human rebirth, and thou human beings with 8 freedoms and 10 endowments. So even those those born in the Pure Lands, they also wish or pray to get a basis with 8 freedoms and 10 endowments, because that is the best basis or the supreme basis to achieve the state of enlightenment.
Ta debore kanda jindi jindebe tanda magi wala jindi jindebe la shepa jindi nywa jindebe shepa jindi jindebe ni shawde ta magi wala nywa jindi jindebe tseto nye mawala soba sore shepa jindi jindebe de ta kanda sinje so cheba la gawa ta sinje la machi bachuna gawa sorwa sola gawa de shepa jindi jindebe ta tanda gewala tsejawo de tele dote de tseto ma iba tseri moywa jindi jindebe de tseri wa nyemewa tsemewa riwa nyemeba da sheba jini jindebina gi shawar dupala gawa towa chewa rwa da dande de thare dande de magi nalo magi chono dande nalo karesena da dande trepe saja zobola cheya da rwa saja zobola cheba loto ya po ndebo pisin soba ya bo mesala chewa rwa dande de rwa magi jula da gi le dande de la da saja pe dechi pisin soba ya sala chewa da loto pisin soba ya sala ndile chewa rwa
So in the case of the effect concordant with the cause and dominant or environmental effect, these are the opposite of the respective effects from non-virtuous actions. Like for example, the causally concordant, the behavioral result and experiential result of non-virtuous actions. So like for example, that you like killing. So the opposite of it will be you do not like doing killing, then you like doing the virtuous actions of abandoning non-virtuous actions, for example. So, and then one will born with a lot of sicknesses, then there is the result of negative non-virtuous actions, then the result of virtuous actions, then one would do not have sickness, have long life, etc. And the environmental effect is also the same, the opposite of opposite from the non-virtuous actions. So the non-virtuous environmental effect of non-virtuous actions is one born in a dirty place, filthy place, place where the crops do not grow well, etc. Then the opposite of it will be one born in a happy place, then where the crops grow nicely.
다 사지 somebody 레지 나이 신템바시 데베와 레지 나이 신템바 다 거지 인고리아데 인도사로 나서 시 인고리아도사레 자등아체 레지 나이 신템바시 데와 당어서 레지 나이 신템바시 데레 된다 에 레단 데부가 띵노바텔라 나빌렌데 까빌렌데 신인도사라 다 나빌레데 까빌레 닌도사라와 that is somebody late night shinting bas did it. Later dribbling la later dribbling la sajidra napile the kabile de ni. That's somebody late night shinting bas did it. That late night shinting battle ni and page the zoji penzoji yawata nyong bada mangeba ni se dile go ni that tambunga penzoji yawata penzoji was page the zoji yawas tiki shiwa that dile sajini ni de tanda de todo
di cheda inagishla konda cheda diro
제가 집어들 신을리지다. 니가 제가 집어들 신을리지로와. 다 단다데 숨바 레지나이 신덴바지 들라 니 샤고로와. 레지나이 신덴바 들라 니 펜제다 조 펜조지 예와 용왕에 받아 망에 봐 니슬레고. 데 나리 페찬을 서치 세보 요 말에.
세보 요 말에.
세보 요 말에 단다 들레고 단다 디나로 나로 말로나 대가 레고.
레기 남기.
오 레지나이 들 서치 세보 요다. 숨바 레지나이 신덴바라 니 셀로도와. somba leji na hinde mala ni si yorte pejana duwa
so
o ni so da tambo de penzo ji yewa se dire penje da penzo ji yewa se tambo de penzo ji yewa se penje da zoji ji da yewa da ma shi go
so other categories of actions other categories of actions, then this has 2 points. The difference between propelling and completing actions. So propelling actions, in other words, is projecting actions.
That the shigoda. That penzo ji yewa se wade penje da zoji ji ke shigo ro penje da zoji. Da dendro bebele ne gewa ta. Pimbile da ngendro bebele ne magewa re yeso ro. That thing inside Kanda dendo pimbile gay dendo mato magiwala sawani de pia yomare. Roa gay dendo mato magiwala sawani piana. Or ngendo pimbile magi leti ngendo la pia mato roa. That dendo la sawani de pia yomare. Yes, that Kanda tega inside roa. That zoji la ngeba yomare sewata roa. That zoji leti la ngeba yomare sewor. Ambodichi.
So this has 2 points, the difference between projecting or propelling and completing actions, and the difference between what will definitely be experienced and what will not necessarily be experienced. And the first point, the difference between propelling and completing actions. So propelling actions for fortunate rebirth are virtuous actions, whereas propelling actions for rebirth in the lower rebirths are non-virtuous actions. So this is certain. So for projecting actions is certain, for completing actions is not certain. So certain in terms of the actions that propels or projects a fortunate rebirth or higher rebirth is virtuous action, and actions that propels a lower rebirth is non-virtuous actions. So this is certain in this way. And however, the completing actions is not certain.
Tanto mudubata etsetua nemawa uaso so kanda magi leji ndibu chanu roa zoji la tikje shigora ngaso magi leji ndibu chawere roa di kanda dendo la dendo ko lite geile roa dendo la pebe lite geile retina ta dendo tela so so pena tam hiba changjang yoya jora tam hiba changjang yoya de geile ndibu marete kan zoji chanu magi leji ndibu chanu roa magi leji ndibu that don't know that Idalia, Roa, don't know that Ida the Pinji the sea pounds in a Magi Lady Pomaroa, Magi Lady Pomare. That Ida don't know that Ida Kashi Lape, Benjo Pisto, but the Diabo in Roa, 농지 필서바도 저도 간다 조지래 차고 되게래 차고라면 먹이래 말이 걸어와 담보 뒤치러와.
So the completing ones are undetermined or are not uncertain. So however, even in the fortunate rebirths, incomplete limbs, minor body parts or sense faculties, hideous looks, a short lifespan, multiple illnesses, poverty, and so forth are caused by non-virtue. So born in the fortunate rebirths, then that is caused by the virtuous projecting actions. But after you're born as a human being, for example, then one born with incomplete limbs, minor body parts missing or do not have the complete sense faculties, born ugly, etc., short lifespan, etc., then that is that completing actions is completed by a non-virtuous actions. So projected by a virtuous action, then one born as a human being, for example, but your life full of these other bad things, for example, short lifespan, a lot of sicknesses, poverty, and etc., then that life is completed by a non-virtuous completing actions. So also in the case, like for example, those beings, their whole life is always have bad luck and etc., then that is one of the example. And in the case of animals and hungry ghosts, abundant prosperity is caused by virtue. So those who sentient beings who are born as an animal or a hungry ghost, then that is caused by a non-virtuous projecting action. But some animals or some hungry ghosts, then they have a lot of enjoyments, then that is caused by the virtuous completing action.
Gizoba Magizoba Nisha, Rua, Piji Gay Pambala, Rua, Piji Gay Pangi, Pambala, Zoji Gay Zoba the Magia Zoba Nish, Nichaso, oh, Piji Magi Pambala, Zoji Magi Zoba the Gay Zoba Nishir, Mishi Rua, that the Marim Chishia Rua.
So there are four possibilities. So four possibilities of four possible combinations. So one factor is projecting action. Another factor is completing actions. So projecting actions can be virtuous and non-virtuous, and the completing actions also can be virtuous and non-virtuous. So these two factors, then they becomes a four possible combination. The first one is that which is propelled by a virtuous propelling action and completed by a virtuous action, or by a non-virtuous completing action. So talking about the first and second possible combination, and that which is propelled by a non-virtuous propelling action and completed by a non-virtuous action, or by a virtuous completing action. So this is the third and fourth possible combination.
Da dambo de penji gei pambala zoji je gei zoba de magi zoba ni doa. Da penji le de gei pamba jirwa. Da dinga zu pe sin charwa penji gei pambala zoji je gei zoba de magi zoba ni jar. Da de pe kandi jil shasna penji gei pambala zoji gei zoba sewa de dambo de charwa. Penji gei pambala zoji gei zoba la dan kholoji jabo. Pe kholoji jabo de penji gei pambala. 콜로지 잡으지와라 산 콜로지 잡으지와라 단 페이지 게이 만파나코 메기 레지 자와니 판토고 말아 페이지 게이 판바 좋아 단 페이지 게이 판바레데 코 간다 페이지 게이 판게 게이 판베 코 토리지 리딘데 다 덴디기 리테로와 덴디기 리티 손사 덴디기 리티데 게이 레이 판고레 마도 메기 레이 자와니 판요 말아 두고요 말아 Oh, this is the page gay pangi tory litogre. That Zoji gay zobare, Zoji gay zobare Karsana, Zoba sewa the dedu nuan sewa, dedu nuan. Zoba sewa yame dejinane, dungingane, dungin dejinua, tiki shivore. That Zoba sewa the college jabo de Zoji gay zoba that longe, the Nata chimbo, Be Korang Karchiji, Be Ndoyon longe. 간디기는 창사배 코로나 배 원세 제보 손자 가르 구구 열고로와 어 든디간에 다 코로나 미치 저는 거 간다 어 든디 손자 다콘 페이지 게임 방발에 조바데 게이 조바에서 페이지 게임 방에 조지 게이 조바 담보 대치로.
So the first projecting actions is virtue and can be virtuous or non-virtuous, and completing actions can be virtuous and non-virtuous as well. Yeah? So the first and the second possible combinations is the projecting action is virtuous and the completing actions is virtuous. So this is the first combinations that I'm going to talk about. I give you an example is wheel turning king. So wheel turning king is an example of virtuous as a virtuous projecting action and virtuous completing actions as well. So being born as a wheel turning king, then that is propelled by a virtuous projecting actions, and because this is a basis in a higher rebirth, yeah. So it cannot be projected by a non-virtuous projecting actions. So it is projected by a virtuous projecting action. So being born as a wheel turning king and completing actions. So basically it talks about in that life one experience happiness or not, or one experience sufferings, for example. Then being born as a wheel turning king, then its completing actions is virtuous as well. Then he has a great prosperity, great wealth, enjoy desirable objects. So whatever objects wheel turning king desires, then they will get it. Then they have a great power, great strength, and etc. So that life is completed by a virtuous completing action.
Oh, that did what? That answer Pinji game hage Zoji gay zobas. That Pinji game pala Zoji Magi zobas Pindua. I'm Pinji game pala Zoji Magi zobas wada. Da Mula Chiwade Mugilitin Tobade Pinji gay lay Pambarwa. Mula Chiwade Pinji gay lay Pambare. That Zoji de Gasna, that Mula Chia could say to Nemawa. Jam Hiba Tanja Kangi Tanja Tree, the Ningani Pekanda, that is Zonroy Yorua. What that day, PG game power at the Zoji Magi Lady over years ago, the Kishua.
So the second possible combinations is projected by a virtuous projecting action, but the completing actions is non-virtuous. For example, being born as a human. So being born as a human then is projected by a virtuous projecting action, but the person is born with a lot of sicknesses, short lifespan, a lot of unlucky things happen, a lot of difficulties, problems. Then that life is completed by a non-virtuous completing actions.
That is Jila Dan Pinji Magi Pala Zoji Magi Zoba Jindua. Adirwa. Dan Pinji Magi Pala Zoji Magi Zobade. Dan Yaitina. Da Nyawa Batisore, Tanyawa Batisu Pechita, Kanda Pinji Magi Lay Pambarua. Nyawa is Dagi Kundishi Magi Chibona Nepa Sachi Rua. Nepa a Chichi Nyai leading the progressive Daishizarwa. Oh, dear. Dan Pinji Magi Pambade, Zoji Magi Zobada Tanyaware, Tanyai Lite, Pinji Magi Legim, Pani Tubari Literwa. Tanya Nyawala Pet Sadang Dunganya, Shibatisu, that Zoji Magi lay at Hazobare. Rua. Nyai Tinape Pinji Magi lay upon Nai Lutubare, there can that Zoji Magi Zobareko, Sadang Dunga Chanja, Nono, the Nyorwa, or the Nyondo Sonza, that the Pinji Magi Zoji Magi Zobares.
The third possible combinations is projected by a non-virtuous actions and then completed by a non-virtuous actions as well. So as mentioned just now, if the paths of actions is powerful, then it will cause one to fall into the lower realms, for example, in the hell. So hellish being is the example of projected by a non-virtuous projecting action and completed by non-virtuous completing actions. So the body, the body of a hell beings then is projected by a non-virtuous actions, and after they being born there, after they are born there, then they experience the great sufferings of hot and cold, right? Then that is completed by a non-virtuous completing action.
That the Jilandua, that Pinji Magi Panji Zoji Gay Zobadilla, that Shibadirua. 다 페이지 먹게 먹게 조지 게 줘봐서 다들 빼샤바이 나가서 루트레와 벨리 리 잡아다보다 리 잡어 달리 잡어대 다고 페이지들 먹기 레지 방바래 가르스나 코 된도 먹기 마 된도 콩 말와 된도 콩도 말와 된도 콩도 말에 코 먹기 낸도 콩도 마차고와 낸도 콩도 차와선자 다디 간달로데 페이지들 먹기 레지 코 방바레가 대징안서 디 군시자르와 먹기 레지와 먹기 레지 두바래 다코 조제 게 간디 조바스나 달리 롱지 리텔 롱지 첨보 롱지 피수 소비간에 코나 다간다 든지지 ngani kanda che zoro ko che mchis ta ko che wa longji pisun so bingane ta li jago sa ta pe rumbu chi pe rita pe longji pisun so ba shibure ndo dongjo chenbo wa da dindi kan pe ko kangi me ba ta kanda longji gi pe pisun so bingane kanda de ge wang ge zo ba re se da de peji ge zo ba ta peji ko li de li sun sa de peji ma ge le ji pham ba wa.
So the fourth possible combinations is the projecting actions is non-virtuous, but the completing actions is virtuous. For example, the king of Naga. So Naga king is the example of non-virtuous projecting actions, but virtuous completing actions, because the body of a Naga, so obtaining a body of Naga that belongs to, or that comes under the lower rebirth. The Naga is not a being in a higher rebirth. So since it is a body belongs to or come under the category of lower rebirth, then the Naga, born as a Naga itself, or obtaining the body of a Naga, is a non-virtuous projecting action. So being born as a Naga kings, even though being born as a Naga kings, then they have great wealth, prosperity, then they have a lot of those precious stones, jewels, etc. So they have great resources. So that life is completed by a virtuous actions.
아디질라 서지 니버스 리고 당아서 다시 펜소지 예와지 다딘도 서로와 단 펜시 조지 예와 딘도 다 니버의 용왕에 받아 망해 봐지 다딘 창지 레고도 보다 서지 니버 데리 다 용왕에 받아 망해 봐지 다딘 마셔 이루와.
And the second outline is the difference between what will definitely be experienced and what will not necessarily be experienced.
아들은 용왕에 받아 망해 봐서 용왕에 받으면 상기도 셔봐. 다 간다 이제 소지발에는 소진의 상바 요와 타도 창상 창되게 들어와 창자 이제 상바 요와 타도 참만 창되게 용이 들이 들어와 용왕에 받는 상기도 셔봐다 사바 오세 들어와 용 망이 받서다 상기도 셔라 마사바 다 용 망이 받의 신다송 다 딩아서 jel레거로와 jel레거 당아서 레 스틸레야 시샤고로와 시샤고로와 셰라마 살라마지바 셰라마사바 셰사니가 상와 셰사니가 만상와서 디 실레고로와 디 타마르마기 레고 타보 디셰로와.
That's all. So that which will definitely be experienced is what has been done intentionally and has been accumulated, and that which will not necessarily be experienced or not definitely to be experienced is what has been done intentionally but has not been accumulated. So so again, there are two factors here. One is done, another one is accumulated. So those actions is done intentionally and accumulated. For example, actions of killing, then you have the intention to kill, you have all the factors completed, present. So you have the attitudes, and you also performs, and you also concluded, you have the conclusion factors as well. Then that makes actions of killing is done intentionally and accumulated.
다 딜로다 딜마로와 다 간다 용의 상기도 셰바다 용 망게 받는 상기도 셰라 마사바 다 셰바다 사비 셰발라 셰바는 삼바와 산내자 링하게 그냥 하와시 셰바다 삼비 셰바 시구다 사비 셰바데 사바는 말랑데 셰바서 좀 마도비 레소 당아서 마사바는 말랑데 셰바 서 넘버 2스 딩아서 라리 쳔문이 요로와 라리 쳔문을 요리 디네 요마로와 that did you matter but it can stop leries lower.
So the difference between what has been done and what has been accumulated is as follows. What has been done is an intention, or you have thought about it, or is a performance with body or speech following intentions. So what has been done is something that you have thought about it, or you have thought about it and then manifest in a body or speech, in the manner of body and speech. So what has been accumulated are any actions apart from the 10. So for example, those done in the dream. So the 10 aspects or the 10 are mentioned in Lamrim Chemo. Here in Middle Length Lamrim, only mention one of it. For example, those done in the dream.
다디 ngazo 셰사들라 미시도 보시 시우로 미시 가르나 간다 셰라 마사바 메당보 살라 마지피레 미님바 로와 셰라 마사빌레 메당보 살라 마지빌레 님바 셰라 사빌레 셰사니 간사와 셰라 사빌레 somba 마지라 마사빌레 다디시 디시노노 다딘 누구로 왔단다 달라들어와 다디기 단다는 마시나 다다 하고 누구로
Yeah. So what has been accumulated is any actions apart from these 10. So apart from, for example, being done in a dream, then that actions is accumulated. So conversely, what has not been accumulated are the 10 types, such as those done in a dream. So regarding these, then again, there are four possible combinations as well. There are two factors here: done and accumulated. So the first possible combinations is done but is not accumulated. Action that is done but not accumulated. The second possibility is accumulated but is not done. Action that is accumulated but is not done. The third possibility is action that is not done and not accumulated. So there are four possibilities here. Yeah? So I repeat, the first one is can you hear clearly? Can you hear me? Oh, Lasso. Oh, yeah. So it's probably some internet. Yeah. Sorry.
If you can repeat, please.
Oh, yeah. Yes. I will repeat. Yeah, I will repeat. Yeah.
Can you repeat number 3?
Yes. I will repeat 4 of these. Yeah, probably because of my internet connection. Yeah. So the first one is action that is done but not accumulated. Action that is done but not accumulated. The second possibility is action that is accumulated but not done. But is not done. And the third one is action that is accumulated and action that is done and accumulated. Third possibility, action that is done and accumulated. Fourth possibility is action that is not done and not accumulated.
다디리다 당가서 담보 미 담보도 마시여이로와 셰라 마사바세와 디로와 다 셰라 마사바세와 등가서 소치라 페샤르와 소치라 페샤네 다 소치 셰라 마사빌레르와 소치 셰라 마사빌레데 컨디샤우스나 다 소소게 소치야 근데바 자와니 메바치로와 만데 힌도 수수게 데바 자와니 메바치 다 신지페 쩨와치네 소치도 주바 다 소소게 페나 루세 냐시아이나 스야인 데바 자와니 메바이나 다 현다게 배정한테 좀 맞은 조금 맞은 배 덴디세도 주바. 덴디세도 주바데 간다 아로와 셰라 마사빌레 차고. 셰라 마사빌레다. 셰라 마사빌레 디치다. 셰산 창일레. 다 시바다 사바 창창 창일레들라 님보 도시토네 샤동 지바 여로와. 님보 도시토네 샤동 지자디 다 셰라 마사바 차서레데. 셰산 창일레들라 님보 도시토네 덴디 샤동 제우디 데디 레터 셰라 마사바 차자 로와 셰라 마사바
So the example for the first possibility, action that is done but is not accumulated. For example, killing. So if a person do not wish to kill, but others force the person to force to kill, then like for example, if I don't want to kill a fish, but others force me to kill. So this example, then the person how say the actions of killing becomes that is done but is not accumulated. Yeah, clear. Yeah. So if a person kill unwillingly because it's forced by others, then that actions is done but is not accumulated. Another example is an action that is done and accumulated. For example, an action that is done and accumulated, if it is purified, or if it is purified by the four opponent powers, that actions originally was done and accumulated. Then after you apply that four opponent powers already, then it becomes the action that is done but is not accumulated.
다 살아 마지 바세와 된한테 디레 디나시 룬더보지나 크로시아게 체더와 시아게 체더 유림보 텐디 소친데기 상바데와 유림보 소친데 요라 텐디 루데 소친데 요라 데 주림보 나네 소 마지 바지 요라 루더보데 로와 소 마지 바지 코 소친데 요라 소 마지 바지 요라 소 마지 바데 살아 마지 바레고 시지라 루데 세요 마라코게 루데 세요 마디네 네바 산제모 마바사자라코 루데 세구상 텐디 세에체도 냐디라고 냐디 주르모 냐디 오든디 데 살라마지 바리 해세고.
So the example for the second possibility is action that is accumulated but is not done. For example, you have the intentions or you wish to kill a sheep, for example. So you have this intention to kill the sheep for a long time, but at the end you did not kill. But at the end, you did not kill. You wish to kill and you have this intention to kill for a long time, but at the end you did not kill. Then that is the example of action that is accumulated but is not done, because at the end you did not kill. So, however, for this example, the person also accumulates many negativities as well.
Shela sabile ta samba jua sama tuya de lewa da soji ina pe dindi shesan sang ile ta shesan sang ile da kanda shela sabile da shesan sang ile ni ka tanda chibare shela sabile da shesan sang ile sa dini ka tanda chibarwa da de ha gogurwa shela sabile shesan sang ile de da ye samba jua ta to changsan sang ne gi yorwa o de da sinje lude na tambo sende je kuno ha de sende je kuno ha ne de la jua che ro de jua che ne ye lude ro ye samba de kuno ha de jua lu li kanda de la jua che sia que de la chunse la so ba nye ro o de ta tu de so ang ba ro se de so ang ba de o dire da kanda shesan sang ile de da de.
So the third possibility is action that is done and accumulated. So in other words, is action that is complete with action that is complete with the done and the accumulated factor. So action that is complete with done and accumulated. So complete with these, complete with both factors. So, for example, killing, then one has the intention to kill, you have the attitude complete, then you also perform the actions of killing as well, the performance factor. And the third one is completion, then the sheep die. Then that is an example of action that is done and accumulated. You have the motivation to kill, you perform the actions of killing, and the sheep die.
Da shiba de majila masabile dirwa majila masabile da majila masabile sewade da dire kanda lunda wachina se gugundu sa tindi kuno chuzaji udi o tatte se la pedipa cha chembo da nimi kanga sang taw tan di mundu sa tindi se de la lansa kuno chia se tigipa de la nimbo tene de la toji ton shadow cheba ro da se chu tindi se ge se de ndi mundu sa koro sinji se at pajo tindi kuno se be cheba ta da dindi mundu sa de la pa nimbo khade nimbo toshi tone shadow chine taba sheba shadow chine pa taba sheba de la da majila masabile es dire ro. The
example for the fourth possible a fourth possibility is action that is not done and not accumulated. For example, one has the motivation to kill a sheep, for example. So you have the motivation to kill a sheep, and these motivations only last for a short while, and then you realize that it is, the actions of killing is faulty. Then don't mentions about the actions of killing the sheep itself. Just having the motivations of killing the sheep is faulty. So you see the faults in such motivations and in such actions as well. Then you think that it is inappropriate to have such motivations. Then you apply four opponent powers to purify such intention to kill or the motivations to kill. Then this is an example for the fourth possibility, action that is not done and not accumulated. Yeah, so action that is done and accumulated, or in other words, action that is complete with both done and accumulated factor, and then that is an action. Its result is definitely to be experienced. So they have this, they are the same. So action that is done and accumulated is the action. Its result is definite to be experienced.
Adi so shawdi kandan tongji nongji le da jeni nongji le le da hela nongji le sonse dan debu nyoy di de sona ta di lo ro debu nyoy di ta le kanda gewa da magewa le zange gedi ni kandi sabaina dan debu nyoy de son kana di lo ro yami tongji nongji jin debu de la nywa yami jeni nongji la nywa yami le da hela nywa ro dan debu nyoy kala de sona ma di ba da ye nywa yo ma ro.
So that which will definitely be experienced. So referred to what will definitely be experienced. Yeah. So karma, its result definite to be experienced, has three categories based on when the effect will be experienced. So in terms of time, it's threefold. So that which will be experienced as a visible phenomenon, then in other words, is in present life. That which will be experienced in present life, that is the first one. And the second time is that which will be experienced in next life or after taking rebirth. And the third time is that which will be experienced at another time, so which is third life onwards. Yeah, so for the first example is if one accumulated the actions in that life and you experience the result in that life as well. So you experience the result in the life that the actions was done, then that is the example for the first one. So the experience in the present life.
Rewa shibuyo, tongchi nongji jin legin rebude tsendela nywa ngi rewa jiburis. Ta rewa kandi jiburis na dirwa, aso pe shabayina, anso tse te la tesang gondu jin nyangli yabo che, langri la nyangli yabo che tse te la. Ta tse me la, ta dachumbi kumpa toba da, changju ki sing jila jeba da, chamba da ninji jila jeba da. Rwa, o tindi tse te la tesang gondu jin nyangli yabo che, ta tse me la dachumbi kumpa toya da, salanga toba jila cheya. O da tindi ditsu dila nga zo tongji nongji ji legin debu nyonga tiyu se tongji nongji ji legin debu se o da tindi tse jila shawo di de so so tse te la de pe kali je tesang gundu nyali ya po che de tse me la chanju gi senda chamba da ni je de salanga toba sa tambo ni ba somba shiba de rabjuna sanji ji kumba thodo ro de rabjuna tse me la sanji tse jila nga zo tse jila sanji ji kumba thoya ge ni ba de nga zo tin de la yorwa 이와 선자 다 체질라 산지 공부하는 체메들라 바지 체텔라 다 조사 디조 제고로와 체텔라 조사 디조 제고디 다 바지 하랑 금으로와 다 체메라 딘디 다 세질라 상지 원다 다나 통지 농지 제부데 세질라 대가 상지 원다나 야 뇨아 오다든 제부란디 타수 단 통지 농지 레진 제부들라 가서 제부란디 마 림바기도 그러와 타송 도스 용거를 들어와
Yeah, for regarding the first time, the actions that is karma is result is definitely to be experienced, then experienced in the present life. So I have so much hope for this for the first category, because if we able to experience a karma is result is definitely to be experienced in the present life, then for example in the earlier part of my life, then so regarding Kishala saying himself, yeah, so that I have so much hope for I hope so much for the first category. So like for example in the earlier part of my life, then I properly do listening, contemplation and meditation, so I do it very well. And then in the later part of my life, then I achieve arhatship, I develop bodhicitta, I develop loving kindness, compassion, and I developed in my mind the realizations of path and ground. So be it the first ground, second ground, etc. Then if best, then I achieve the state of enlightenment. So in fact, upon this basis, we do have the potential to achieve the state of enlightenment. So if if best, then I wish to achieve the state of enlightenment in the later part of my life. So then if we want to achieve we do have the potential to achieve state of enlightenment in one lifetime, in the present life or in one lifetime. So, and if we really accumulate merits and purify our negativities in the earlier part of our life, then in fact we do have the possibility to achieve the state of enlightenment in the later part of our life.
Dinga ya changzul pe changju isen de chamba ni ji che yo ma sigo marda ya chamba da changju se ji la che changju dan da nyane ji ne ji changju de zo la ya sanji ji kompa to ya che me la sanji ji kompa to ya nya tongji nongji ji nam ji de bu de
control yo ma res de la mes re
la yo mara changju se ji la chen ga da chamba ni ji la che changge changju se da chamba ni ji la che changge toni to be tawa ji la che changge de zo ina da to so che de la chosang gu de che ne 야 체메라 로와 야 체메라 상지지 공부터야 상지지 공부다 이제 분야에 들어와 어떤 이제 전바기는 가서 되자 돈으로와
Yeah, so I'm not saying that you haven't developed or cultivated bodhicitta, loving kindness, compassions, or you the wisdom of realizing emptiness. So I'm not saying that you do not have. So if you have already developed such and cultivated such attitudes, then in the later part of your life, then I wish you all to achieve the state of enlightenment.
제바 망보 쉬어야 다 나도 진이 언제서 다 진이 언제서 와다 간다 첸데 더블 레사바나 다 제와 제말한데 분요하더라 제와 님바들라 다 레다길라 언제서나 다 제와 숨바 펜션에 봐 제와 숨바 펜션에 봐 남긴데 분요하디리에스 간다 다 드슬 제바 시그나 망보 쉬버라 다 디디시 다 드린 대화 재미로
So yeah, so this and the second category, which is karma its result, is experienced in next life. Then is the second category, and basically, you done the actions in this life, and then you experience the result next life. Then that is the second category, and the third category is you done the actions in this life, but you experience the result in next life. So the life after next life or onwards, then that belongs to the third categories. So if we were to explain in detail, then there are many explanations about this as well. So however, I will this is the main points that we should that I would like to explain. So did some so I will stop here, and if you have any questions, then you can ask now.
Sheila, there are many questions on the chat box. Karma is a very interesting topic. Can anyone want to start? Or should I read out the question? Okay, I read out the questions so it's clearer. Ishila, you talk about throwing karma or this projecting karma. What is its relationship to the fully ripened effect? Because both are about the next realm, next rebirth, the place where we are going to be reborn. Throwing karma throw us to either three upper or two upper or three lower realm, or fully ripened effect is also talking about future rebirth. It's my question, the relationship between the two.
Also, ini kisah penji gile yoro. Penji gile dah, ina mingi debu ina de ni dewa yunas. Kain sih na ni ga yang de kasa kiawa jema de shiki yoro.
Penji gile sna jodere, nami gile debu sna debu derwa. Leke penji les wa de kurum penji dere, rwa penji megi debu sewa de leke la tine megi ma litin tuya derwa. Dere ngasu junjun dawo.
Yeah, so the relationship between projecting actions or throwing actions or propelling actions. So the relationship between the projecting actions and the ripened effect, fully ripened effect, is cause and effect. So their relationship is in cause and effect. So the projecting actions is the cause, and the fully ripened effect is the result.
Okay, thank you. Second question is about this being born as a human and able to practice Tantra. May I know what is the possible component of the projecting karma and completing karma for such a precious human rebirth?
Ini kasa milu den rinpoche de toba tang, ini de ce de la nga nyamlen che toba, nga gi nyamsu lemba ina, ini de kasa penji gi le tang zuji le ini de kari resa.
Da ce de la perwa nga so migili ni nga ge nyale da pe ya po shibu ji cheba ina.
Kasa de gyu de kari resa, penji gi le tang kasa zuji gi le ro, kari resa, nguyen kari saba resa, nguyen ma le kari saba resa.
Tanda nga so lidi de nguma gei le sani lidi de migili de le bares lidi. Tanda lidi nguma gei le de res. Tanda lidi de la pe dunga mambo yugunduna, dunga mambo yugunduna ta zoji gei le pambar zoji magi zo bares.
Ini kongi andi kasa andi penji gi le de kari saba res. Karisa ne ini di milu toba ta ini nga nyamle che toba. Ini yang misegi habatu ini penji gi le tang zoji gi le karisa ba resa.
Penji gi le karisa ga sna te penji le sa ya de la nga zo gei le sa da magi le sa ba ni yo res. Penji le sa da la.
Aso.
Magi gi le sa ba ina te magi nyawa ida tndo la ma chewa pino res. Magi le sa ba ina. Nga so tanda tsindala gei le yabo ji saba ina. Chewa jema la ko dendo la chewa jasha ja pendo gores ro jasha ja dendo la chewa le gores. Da gei le to che chun da ji kung de shin ba. To che chun de digi to nga so dendo la ha da mi lama yi son yo wa. Da mi ngen do la magi le to che chun ko na nyawa yi da tendo son yo ro wa. Kung de shin ba de li res.
Ini kongi le na ji jena kasa misegi le kari saba resa. Yang pena shashana ngama ina di kasa yang nga nyamlen chenyong yore ini di kasa tsutim di yabu sungi yore pena shashana ini yang di kasa le di dende cheza ini di kasa se di na di kasa milu rinpoche da ini di nga nyamsu lenga gi kokap de rabas ini di pichi di kosa re samgido ini di kishala gi ji to ne ini di gewa di 사기 제나 사나 에네디 가자 체디라 미루진 부치다 nga nyagi ko kapte legiro nina
chendela tende yoma da kandi chen relever sere chendela kanda lite mali rumbo chelya ta nga nyale che
nga ma le khare sa bare sa ge jla
nga ma da chiji ya bo sum bare ko chiji ya bo sum chiji mege chibo go chiji ya bo sum te gewa ya po du gewa ya bo du tende gi le wange te tanda mali rumbo che da thobares te so so nga ge nyale che da chewa nga ma la chiji ya bo sum be to ne te nga ge nyale ya bo che wo tendri wange pe tanda nga ndonga ni gala nyane che ko ga de ta le sambo jigin je bre tanda de tanda lidin de
that's so yeah, so obtaining a precious human body, and upon this basis able to practice Dharma, then this is caused by the virtuous actions definitely that we have done in previous lives, that for example we got the morality of abandoning 10 non-virtues, then we also accomplish well the virtuous actions, and upon this basis morality of abandoning 10 non-virtues, then we practice tantra before, then that's why in these lives then we obtain a precious human rebirth, and I have the opportunity to practice Dharma.
ngama de tanda de pe le sambo tanda ngama de pe pitabo shibu yores khansa derwa le sangke de yabo pitabo tanda pe yabo peres da tanda de ngama ma madu ji so gures ngaso tanda de pe ngama le ya ji jema da jewa jema kawan ndo tanda ngaso li dina rali de reswa o ta ngama kadin chimbo shibu res ngaso tanda pe ting sambo yabo shibu ji sha yores wa ba shimala ngaso kadin chege shimala si kadin chege da tanda so kadin che so la rali de res.
Yeah, so I say the I, I say the I, I say yeah. So my past has my past did me well. So it's very kind to me. It's very kind to my present I. Because of his or her good actions, or the actions that done in the past was good. Therefore, that's why I say I am what I am in the present life. So in the future lives, then we have to make sure that we do not fall to a lower status than the present one. So instead, that is the least requirement, that we do not fall to a lower status, and we have to make sure that we progress further higher. So future lives, future rebirths depends on present.
So
you said it.
Dr. Gold, your question, please. Release
yeah, okay. Gishila, can ask? Gishila want to say something?
Okay.
Yeah, Gishila, did you show you now? Show you. So yeah, I wanted to say that whatever questions that you have, then probably you can ask in next class. Yeah, probably another question before we end the class.
Gishila, one more question before we end the class is under the last part, the experience. What is being a definite experience and not necessary experience. So in the text, it said that what has been done and what has been accumulated, certainly we experience the either positive result or negative result. Second thing, the text saying that what is being done, but not accumulated, like in the dream, after done we purify, we antidote, then although done, but will not be accumulated, but not necessary experience means we may experience. Second, but I would like to ask the third one is, it has not been done, wish to do but not done, but it says it's accumulated because we didn't have remorse, we didn't think of the faults. Does this one, not done, wish to do, but never think of the fault, never have the regret, have been thinking, will this be experienced?
So Gishila, ini di kasa ini yang leji yang maceba ini di kasa ciagi dua yoba ini di tama di ceyo maris ini di yang di jela gyusimji yang yo marisa gyusimji yo maris ini di nyongye gileina yana nyongmingye gileina
ciagi dua yos
ciagi dua yorete ini tama di ceyo maris 대제라양 교심 지기요 말이스
이빌레레 가서 신지지 소지기 이사 소지인데 그다 군로 들어와 간다시네 루티 세기 이사들이 세신데 군이라 대 간다 대 루디 마시바이나 살라 마지비스 레스 디차고레 살라 마지바 사요데 제요 말에 건져봐 간다 대사라 마지발렌도 살.
That's all. Yeah, so for example, as it's just like the example that I mentioned just now, killing. So you have the intention to kill, then you have such motivation, but you at the end you did not kill, yeah. So that is an example of action that is accumulated but is not done. So for such action, then it belongs to the karma. Its result is definite to be experienced.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Next class.
Yeah. So you can whatever questions you may ask, you want to ask, and you may ask in next class.
So the German zinda the lende cheda sambasi da de ya chance de jela ngasa nami jindi jese do nami jindi jeda nami ji juje de ma livers de jema de nga ke chemu da jere jero lende cheda sambati la nami jindi je nami jindi da shile de nami jindi bu ju de sama ligresta de jema de.
That's all. Yeah. So next class, I'm going to talk about contemplating karma and its effect in particular. So regarding these, there's 2 points: the fully ripened qualities and their functions. There are 8, and the causes of the fully ripened effects. So all these I'm going to talk about next class.
Also geitza wandela tini roa geitza wandel jiwa tsiro thoma meso geitza wandela tini ta chitemba jiba na roa dewa ta laba de ngaso de zangling de la manchu da meje la njwa shi neba la soba tini mayung ba che da ta niya la soba te da mayung ba ta tanda niya yung shimba tso pa nyo da pa don do ya chi ta niya di jinji ta de matse ta niya di jinji tsubi de sinji mambu chi tselen de bare ta sinji tselen de tsena tse kwa tome tsabi di baba tani sanji chi kumba nyo da to ya di chi de wa chi da ta tanda nyeba nyangda tso la pe kangin chejin ba tso la pe na hachage roba jinge memba da nurse da benjo gten roba jine de tsama kuran zo tsama ba roa kusu tula lingwa yesu la pa ge pa chi tsawani ne meba 또 코란서 그 벤데바 가르여나 대가 봐 게메 hinjin 봐. 게메 hinjin 봐. 든지 방와 지혜지 있어와.
We conclude the sessions with dedication. We dedicate the roots of virtue accumulated in speakingless time, especially through this Dharma teaching session. So may it be the complete cause for Buddha Dharma to spread to all 10 directions and for sentient beings to have excellent happiness. Then we also dedicate these roots of virtue for the disasters happen all around the world, wars and conflicts and flood, etc., earthquake, etc. So may this be ceased immediately. And then we also dedicate these roots of virtue for this pandemic to be quickly ceased as well. And what is about to come, then may it be turned away immediately. And we also dedicate these roots of virtue to those deceased ones, and especially those who pass away in this pandemic. May their negativities accumulated since speakingless time be purified immediately and quickly achieve the state of enlightenment. We also dedicate these roots of virtue to patients, especially those who are affected in this pandemic. Then may they quickly regain their health, and may their life be filled with excellent happiness. We also dedicate these roots of virtue to those helpers, such as frontliners, doctors, nurses, those who help others financially. May their body, speech, and mind be free of obstacles, and may their wish be accomplished instantly.
Dāgē chēnyē sābē gēwāndē tēndāng chōwā gēlā gāmbē dā chēpā jīzē lōsāng chāpā yē tīmbē nīmbō rīndō sē yē yō chāngchū sēnchō rīmbō 마제바나 지저지 제바 냠바메 바야 군네 군도 배워 요 잠베 바에 지단 쳔바다 군도 상베 대야 디겐데 대다 근제 제서 다로 제게완다다 단 라도 동니 다와린 보제 마제바나 지저지 제바 냠바 군네 군도 배워 요 진니 다와린 보제 마제바나 지저지 제바 냠바 군네 군도 배워 요 두전 장견 장견자에 된 진조배에 그래서 초소고에 레면 도조배 다소 되게 된도 자데 요 동네 니제 송동 주제라 지제 상제 강제 된도 자나배모 된제 장조라 소완데 저견된도 요 이제된 강된 편대 말이와 강련주의 상배 가딘 소매 된제 장조라 소완데 저견된도 요 강저라의 고의 신간의 편다대와 말이 제레서와 된제 장조의 샤비 신디 바도 대주지 Oh yeah, thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
Geshe-la. Thank you, Anila. Thank you,